All right. Now, what we're going to do this morning is we have our ladies, and I'll give them a chance to introduce themselves in just a moment. But before we do, I wanted to tell you a little bit what we're thinking through this. And a lot of times we learn best about moms from moms. And so what we did this year is we have 3 moms here at different stages of motherhood to kind of that. So hopefully we can all kind of identify with each of them in some way. So we have a mom of young children, a mom of grown children, and a mom who has children who have children. So we get to hear some of all of that wisdom. And what I did this week is, or the last couple of weeks, I gave them some questions ahead of time so they can be thinking. And we'll just kind of interview them today and hear what they have to say about some issues on motherhood. Sound good? Not too scary? Okay, good. We'll see how we do. And so you had the microphone. You know how to work the microphone? Yeah. Okay. Yes. What I'm going to have you do is I'll have you just each go through, introduce yourselves, tell a little bit about your family maybe. If you're proud of them, you can talk about them. If you're not, then you still have to mention them. But no. Why don't you just tell a little bit about your family and introduce yourself in that way, and then we'll jump in, okay?
Hi, my name is Debbie Savage. My family, I had my husband, Mark, and my daughters, Rachel and Rebecca. They're both in their 20s. And I have my mother, Elsie.
Hi, I'm Jessie. I am Rob's first wife. If you know my father-in-law or my husband, you know that joke. I am a TA at a school for special needs students, and I am the mother of the 2 rapscallions who are constantly running around, so sorry if they've run into you.
And I'm Andrea. I am also Chuck's first wife. He's my starter husband. We've been married 46 years. We have 4 children, 2 girls and 2 boys in that order. You know one of them fairly well because he leads worship here. And the other 2 are in various stages of, the girls are both married, and our younger son, we're seeking a wife for him. He's a good guy. Anyway.
All right. Well, awesome. It's kind of nice. We have a mom that has all boys, a mom that has all girls, and then a mom that has a mix. So that'll be good to hear about that. That was all by planning. Yes, that's it. Yes. No, but it's kind of nice, isn't it? So we'll get to hear from all those neat perspectives. So what I'll do is I'm just going to kind of ask each of you some questions, and I may ask a couple of you the same questions, and we'll just see how it goes. I'll watch the time. Somebody else watch the time. If we get going, just buzz or something. That's why I feel like it's some kind of dating show or something. I don't know. It's kind of like, yeah, where would you like to? Okay. But anyway, first question, why don't we do with Jessie? Why don't we start with her? Yeah, that sounds good, huh? Jessie, what is your favorite aspect of being a mom?
It would definitely have to be seeing how different the boys are growing up. You would think, they come from the same parents. They both have pretty much, gone to the same daycare and stuff like that. But they are completely different. And yet, what's also awesome is how kind they are towards each other. And that's through nothing I've done. That is completely God-given because they fight. They're 3 and they're 5. And anytime there's a toy, somehow they both need to play with it just right then. But if Robbie ends up getting hurt, Ben is the first one, Robbie is hurt. Or especially the moments when, we see it from the side, they'll offer each other something that they had gotten themselves. Like Robbie gets a little special prize each week for, good behavior, at school. And last week he actually offered it to his brother, and I saw it from the next room over, and I'm like, oh, that's really nice. But seeing those kind moments and hoping that, that'll continue into teenage years.
Oh, All right. Good. I'm going to ask this question to each of you, so why don't you pass it to Debbie and let Debbie go next.
Excuse my cheat sheet. You know my brain. Anyway, my favorite aspect of being a mom is sharing God with my girls. And we do that through songs, sharing with forgiveness, the gospel, leading them to salvation. I got to pray with Rachel when she was 4. She accepted Christ, and Mark got to share Jesus with Rebecca when she was 3 years old, and got to pray with her. And we love guiding them as they grow in Jesus and watching them share Jesus with others.
Okay.
I love to watch how God is working in the life of individual lives of my kids or our kids. Each child has different challenges and different personalities, and it's just so incredible to see how God's in His kindness, He intervenes in their lives in the ways that they understand. And I think for me too, like one of the things that I've learned as a parent of older children is that one of the hardest things is to get out of God's way. When your kids are little, you have control over their life, right? You can sort of. But as they get older, they make their own choices, and you can lead them, you can teach them and guide them, but at some point, they are responsible for making choices. And so it's just wonderful to see how God enables them to make wise choices too, and that you can trust your kids to God because He loves them even more than you do, and He really does know what they need.
All right. Thank you, Andrea. And Andrea kind of went into the next question a little bit, which is good, kind of good segue there. So I'll ask this of Debbie and Jess then. What's one of the biggest things that you have learned from being a mom?
For me, it's to take advice and help from other people, and it's okay not to know everything. And it's also to share parenting with Mark, and we tag team. When I'm kind of at a loss for what to do, I just explain and say, "Can you please help?" And he does, and it's amazing, and it's great to have a parenting united front.
Okay.
That nothing is in our control. It's all up to God, because from day 2 of our firstborn, he was in the NICU suddenly. And just, eventually you start, oh, yeah, we've got this. And then they throw a curveball at us. And just going back to God, I'm like, okay, you got this. No matter how crazy they might be, no matter how crazy sometimes we might be, he definitely has it.
Okay. And I guess being a mom never stops, does it, ladies? That is awesome.
And it's different now being a mom and thinking about my mom and what she went through with us. And she still has that same love and care for me now, even though I'm 56. But it's just neat to think and to really appreciate.
All right. Yeah, Mom never stops. That's one of the things I miss with my mom, is that every Sunday afternoon she would call me and ask me how my sermon went and all that. Or sometimes when she wasn't able to get to church, she'd watch our live stream. And it was always interesting because it was nice because, she's always proud of you. But then she would go on to correct my grammar from my sermon. And momming never stops, so it's okay. So if you've noticed since she's gone to heaven that my grammar's gotten bad, that's why. No. But yeah, all right. Well, I guess next question, Jess, we'll start with you on this. How has your relationship with Jesus encouraged, challenged, or helped you as a parent?
Well, before kids, I know I loved Rob. I loved my parents. I loved my siblings. But since having kids, there's this love that I feel God has given us to show us how much he loves us. Now, it's not equivalent. I'm not saying that. But it definitely opens up a little bit more how much he loves us. Because it's without question, I would do anything for my kids.
And you wouldn't for Rob?
I would.
Oh, okay.
It's
I'm just a follow up. That's all. No, I'm kidding.
See, I'm the first wife. That's why.
No, it is a different kind of love. Awesome. Debbie, same question.
Okay. Well, Jesus is my rock and my everything, and I go to him with my joys and my struggles, and I read his word about everything that we're going through. And there's been times where I pray and I say, Jesus, if you were physically here in this room with me, what would you do? So it's been great to go to him, and just, even if it's just me and one of the girls, and I'm just like, what should I do? How can I help? Lord, please show me. And it's awesome.
Okay. And Andrea, I have a different question for you. Because you are a grandparent, and I know I didn't ask you this before, so I'm putting you on the spot, which is good. It's always good to do. But how has your relationship with your kids changed since they have kids? So that your relationship with your kids have changed now that they're parents.
What kids? No, they always joke, they're chopped liver now that the grandchildren are. I don't know. I feel I have tried really hard to allow them to be the parents to their children that they need to be. We don't always agree on maybe how things are done or whatever, but God didn't give me those children. He gave me mine. And so I feel like it's God has enabled me to kind of take that step back and just support them and just love them because they're my kids, and not necessarily have to micromanage their lives, which I'm sure they appreciate.
Okay, awesome. You did well with that curveball. Thank you. So I'll give you one you did answer then that I know you have thought of. What's one important way that as a mom other people can best encourage you as a mom? So one important way others can encourage other moms.
I think one way is to acknowledge that everybody's children are different, and that don't criticize one another. Like, we need to support one another, because we're, motherhood's a marathon, not a sprint. And in different seasons, you're going to have different struggles. I think making sure that we know, too, that as moms, the person we need to please is God. Our children belong to God. Our purpose is to point them to God. So, as other people, we shouldn't don't criticize others, and help them to understand that they only need to please an audience of one, and sometimes that means going against what the flow of society might tell you. If that makes any sense.
So we need to remind other moms that they're not alone, and we're here to help each other and to bring everything to Jesus.
Okay. Same question, Jess.
They kind of stole the thunder. A kind word. Everything else is tearing us down. Instagram, Facebook, all the competition from especially those who don't know about God. always, posting about how their kids did this and this and this, and you're looking at yours like, yeah, they're still licking the dirt. I wish I was joking. But a kind word, because I look at some of the friends that I talk online with or have the benefit of texting or whatnot, and we're all comparing. We're all a little discouraged, and we don't know what step they're in, because behind that mess that we're all putting up, a lot of us are struggling.
Okay, I think that's an important thing to remember, especially with young moms. Sometimes I think even as parents, dads, or even in life, we get older and we forget what it was like in that beginning. So that's awesome to know, and awesome for us to kind of know. And all right, kind of building on that, hearing things from others. But who's one person or maybe a few people that have kind of been kind of that role model for you, or have been kind of an important influence for you as a mom?
My mom has been that for me. She's always loving and kind and funny. Love you, Mom. She's been very supportive of me as I care for my girls. And also my grandmother. She modeled verbally praising God for all the little things, and I do that for my girls too. And let me see. Oh yeah, and also with my grandmother with living out her faith. And another person who's been a positive influence on me is my daughter Rebecca. She always prays for me and always encourages me and gives me a hug when I need it. And also for Mark, because he always loves and encourages me and prays for me. And he always lifts me up and supports me with the girls. And we do tag team a lot. And there might be something that's going on with the girls, and I'm just like, what should we do? And he gives me a different viewpoint, and it works wonderfully. So I'm very thankful for everyone that God's brought into my life.
Well, let's build on how awesome your husband is. No, we don't need that. No. All right, Jess.
When I was filling it out, I kind of just centered on one person, and not to embarrass her because she's up here on the stage with me. From the moment I started dating my husband, she's kind of been an influence, always there to lend an ear, always there to give me a hug. And as gone into, marriage and then being a mom myself, just, there to encourage me. So my mother-in-law has been an absolutely fantastic influence in my life.
Okay. Oh, isn't that nice? That is awesome. All right.
Yeah, sorry. I love Jessie. She's such a blessing to our family. She really is. When your kids are little, you pray for their spouses, and this is God's answer to a lot of prayer. Anyway, what was the question? Oh, person. So I had a couple of people I can think of that were good influences. One was a Bible study teacher at Haddon Heights Baptist. In fact, and some people may know her. It's Katie Creeby's grandmother, June Yoder, and she was somebody who was very real. You could tell her anything. She never judged you. She always gave good, godly counsel. And she had a really fun sense of humor, too. So I think humor helps us deal with a lot of life. And then the other person, I have a really close friend. We've been friends for 40 years. And we've been through a lot of crazy, bizarre circumstances together. And we can always call each other and now text each other or whatever. And as we've gone through different seasons of mothering, and even now we're, with struggles with, different things, we can always call and talk with one another. She never judges, and she also gives godly counsel. And I try to do the same for her. It's a good, it's kind of good to have kind of a co-mentor kind of circumstance.
Awesome. All right. Well, next question, and we'll have you share this one then. As moms who know Christ, what is the most important thing? If you could tell families here one thing that's important for a Christian household, and especially as a mom in a Christian household, what would that one most important thing be?
It's important to share God with them. Teach them about Him and about His Word. It's important to verbally thank God. Teach them to pray. Teach them to ask forgiveness from others and from God. Share the gospel with your kids and help them to grow in their faith.
Praying. At the end of the day, throughout the day, as they, scrape their knees and go running towards the street, and you're like, oh, dear Lord, please save that child. But at the end of the day, especially just, giving it all up to God, especially when they're angelic and, not screaming and all that, and praying about their future, because whatever struggles you're dealing with now and whatever struggles they're dealing with now, you don't know what's coming next, and how hopefully you'll turn to God as those struggles appear.
Awesome.
I think when I answered this online, I had a hard time answering it because I couldn't think of just one thing. But I think loving and trusting God yourself and modeling that for your family is really important. I think little people look up to you, and they see what you do almost more than what you say, and so I think making sure that you maintain your relationship with God yourself, and then point them to God in all areas of their life. Like that verse in Deuteronomy. When you are walking on the way, and when you're sitting down, and when you're lying down, and when you're in your home, to just see the work of God, see the fingerprints of God in all of those circumstances, and trusting that He knows His ways are best.
Awesome. You guys did good. Did much better than I could ever do. And it's awesome. It's awesome to see mom's influence in our lives and things like that. And as I was listening to you guys talk, I wrote down some notes, and I wrote down some notes from your answers and things like that, just to think about some things. And I wanted to sum everything kind of up a little bit in 4 lessons. 4 lessons for being a real mom. And what I love about these ladies this morning is they just shared their heart in an honest and open way. And I think that's important for moms. And like Jess was saying, with we have the Instagram life where everything is the best life, but to see what happens and what it's like in real life is kind of important. So I kind of wanted to sum it up just a little bit into maybe a takeaway. And these are all things that not only are lessons for mom, for being a real mom, but also lessons for those of us on how we can encourage moms and to draw out from them and help moms be their best as a church family. And so the first lesson I heard through what you guys were talking about is the lesson of grace. I think moms need to extend grace in parenting. And we heard that from, I think, each of you in letting the kids discover who God's made them to be. And, and you're not perfect. And to have that grace as you look at that, grace is loving somebody not because, and giving something good for somebody that they didn't earn or deserve. And So that's what grace is, and to have grace with your kids. And Scripture kind of talks about that, and it talks about it with salvation in Ephesians chapter 2. It says, by grace we're saved through faith, and it's not through works. It's a gift of God, and I love that idea. But there's a gift of grace. And moms, one of the most important things that you guys can give is that gift of grace to your kids, and to allow God allow God to shape in that sense, but to give that and to not take every little thing so serious. I love Jess saying that kids lick dirt, and think about all of those things. And sometimes it's important that we're not hammering all the time. And that kind of goes into also one of the best ways we can encourage moms is to give them grace. One of the things that sometimes when you're out and about, or when even you can be here at church and a mother's there with their kids, you don't know what happens just to get them there, to get them to church. And it would have been much easier just to stay home, and yet they're there. Yet sometimes we would rather go and judge them. Hey, your kids are acting out, or your kids are doing this, or your kids are doing that. And so one of the things I think we can give to moms is to treat them with grace and to find what God's doing with them. And that's what Paul talks about. Ephesians 4, verse 29. He talks about that. Let no corrupting talk come out of your mouths, but only as such as is good for building up, as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear. Isn't that cool? Let no corrupting talk. It's encouraging talk to build up. And to remember that with our moms, we're trying to build them up. And our job isn't to be the police all the time. And one great way we can encourage our moms is to listen to them and to value them and to encourage them and in that way. So grace, lesson 1. Lesson 2, care. One of the great things that God gives mothers that and females, when he created male and female, and one of the roles that he gave females that men aren't as good at is nurturing and caring. And, Proverbs 31, where it talks about that perfect wife and the perfect mother. And one of the verses I love in that is verse 15. It says, she rises while it's yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. And sometimes we forget all that moms do to care, and that they're getting up earlier and earlier and shuffling around and doing laundry or just doing things behind the scenes that we don't always get to see with kids. And moms, all of those things are so important. And I know a lot of it comes instinctually, and God has placed that in your heart, but to understand that importance of care, and then to bring that out, and that we can help care for mothers, care for moms, young moms, moms that just had their kids get married or something and left the nest. There's an emptiness there, right? And moms need care in that. And I love what Paul says in Romans, and he talks about it with brotherly affection, but it's that phileo type of love, or love for each other, family love. And he says, love one another with brotherly affections. Outdo one another in showing honor. I always thought, wouldn't that be cool, at church, if we were outdoing each other and trying to show each other honor, or trying to show moms honor. And I know in one of your answers, you had something on here. There's practical ways that you can care for moms. Give them a gift card, or, that they don't have to make dinner, or make them dinner, or watch their kids for them so they can go out and breathe, But some of those things are just opportunities just to care for moms and to say, well, yeah, but I remember that, and it's such a privilege to have kids, but it's also, it needs care, and, moms are giving themselves over to that. And that gives them lesson 3. So we have grace and care, selflessness. Moms, you want to be a great mom, it's about being selfless, and it's reflecting the love Jesus has for us. We talked about that when we've been going through John's gospel, where Jesus says, love one another as I have loved you. And what does that love look like? Well, it models that of Jesus. And a mom's love models that of Jesus, sacrificing themselves and their agenda for what's best for the children. I loved Andrea's answer is to say about her grandkids, they're not my kids. So I have to let my kids parent those kids. It's not my agenda or what I think they should do. It's what my kids are seeking God for. And sometimes so selflessness means, we give up our agenda sometimes and we're not trying to mold them. And it takes humility and it takes service, and Paul talks about that with Jesus, that he emptied himself, right? When he talks about the example of Christ, and he emptied himself of what it meant to be God so that he could become human. And moms, a lot of times I think you can feel that, right? That you're on empty. So it's ways that also we can help that, and we can recognize that we're not always filled all the time, and we're not ever-ready batteries. And so that mothering never ends, and it can be draining, and it can be because it's selfless. And so to have that, and it kind of links into care. And then finally, I wanted to bring out one more lesson on motherhood from our moms today that they kind of talked about, and that's trust. One of the greatest things we can do is to have trust and to trust God. And what that means is, moms trust Jesus in their own life and then for the lives of their children. And we heard that from all of our moms. We heard that from Andrea saying, that our kids need to see us trusting God. And Debbie said, need to see our relationship with God. And that we cling. One of the best lessons that children learn from their parents and from their mothers is to look at their relationship with God. So it's a lesson that you're not necessarily doing with your kids, but you're demonstrating for them. And to live that. In Psalm 73, it says, "But for me, it is good to be near God." Now, some versions say it is good to trust God. I love being near God because it is good for me to cling to God. "I have made the Lord God my refuge, that I may tell of your works." You see, that's saying I may demonstrate how awesome you are by clinging to you. And that's a lesson. And it's a lesson for moms to cling to God in our own relationship, but then also to trust God with our kids or for our kids. And so that kind of trust is important. So one way that we can best encourage moms is encourage moms also to be trusting God with their kids. Again, a lot of times we give them our advice instead of saying, well, what does God have to say? And, what is God telling you? Or I can pray for you. And to pray that they can trust God better and to build them up in that. And so that's a great lesson for our moms. So for our moms this morning, be encouraged. Be encouraged, which is all about hope, right? You heard Debbie say that moms, you're not alone. And, we all have a responsibility, and God is working. God is working in your kids, around your kids, beyond your kids, beyond what you think you're doing. God is always working. So be encouraged in that. And then also be strong. We need strong moms who cling to Jesus. And that's what it means to be strong in that way and patient. And then also be blessed. Be blessed, moms. We have a gift for you as you enter today, as you leave today. But Mother's Day just shouldn't be a day of the year where we say to moms, oh, you're appreciated, you're great. But be blessed and help us bless you. And again, share with us ways that we can be a blessing. Debbie and I, when we got engaged, we made a deal with each other to never assume that we knew what the other person was thinking. So if you needed something, don't just assume, well, they know I need it, so they should just do it. Tell the person. And then there has to be another part of that deal where the person who gets told that doesn't get offended. Say, stop nagging me. You have to take that. And there's times I know that Debbie will look at me and say, I need a hug. Or she won't say that. She'll go, you can hug me now. And I don't get offended at that because I'm not a big hugger, but she's telling me what she needs. So as moms sometimes, it's okay to tell us because we care for you too, and we want to help with that too. And we don't always know, especially guys. We don't always know what's going on, but there's ways that we can help and bless you. And so So for our moms. Now, ways we can help our moms and ways that we can help the moms here at our church is, one, to support them. Support moms in all that they do. Love them, you know? And again, sometimes we'll be at church and the kids seem a little rambunctious, and instead of saying, I wonder why they brought them if they knew they were going to be like that today, or why don't they do something, maybe we can go and just come alongside and listen, or say, hey, let me see if I can take them and entertain them and give you a breather, you know. But also thank our moms. Thank that influence. Thank God for that influence and for that aspect in our church. And then again, encourage our moms. Show them much grace and encourage our moms so that they can keep following God in all that they do. Did I do okay in summing that up? Okay, good. I learned something. No, but isn't that awesome, though? And it is awesome to hear from our moms. Why don't we give our moms a thank you this morning for being open and allowing God to use them. I know it's not easy to get in front of people and answer questions and speak at church. That's why we gave you rocking chairs. We thought it might help a little and help you feel more comfortable up here. But but thank you. And thank you for all you do. But thank you for sharing and sharing some of the wisdom that you've learned along the ways, or you have gotten along the ways, and probably learned sometimes the hard way. But we can share and we can hear that. But again, it's about following Jesus, clinging to Jesus, and trusting that he has a plan and is working. So that is an awesome thing. And that's our encouragement this morning. And instead of me kind of closing in prayer before we sing, we have a neat little video of a prayer for moms this morning that we just want to share with you that you can be blessed by. And so you guys can go take your seats if you want so you can watch it there. But thank you guys so much. And we're going to do this for Father's Day, just so you know. Not with these three, but we're actually going to have 3 dads. We're going to have 3 dads on Father's Day, and they probably won't have nice, comfortable rocking chairs. They may, but we're gonna interview dads this year as well. Just thought it'd be a different way that we can kind of get a different perspective and kind of a neat perspective on Mother's Day. So as way of our closing of prayer of our message this morning, since that was a little different, we're going to close it a little different. So enjoy this video, and then Rob will be up.